We heard this agreement was very much his doing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Annette, before I set out, before we make Emmanuel Macron the heavy in this process, so to speak, the hardliner, giving Britain no breaks, I think the context needs to be put in there as well. Emmanuel Macron, just to be sure for the record, he is someone who is absolutely dead set against the idea of Britain leaving Europe. He, like many other European leaders, absolutely direly regrets the fact that Britain voted to leave in 2016, thinks it's a grievous mistake whose consequences will be felt for years to come. He also has expressed his view that Brexit and that referendum itself is a sort of a case study in all the things that can go wrong when you have populism, so-called false information, misinformation, disinformation, innuendo, misleading, misrepresented facts hoisted on people in a very confused context, and you can get a sort of warped or skewed result. He thinks the referendum itself was faulty. Now let's put all of that aside. That is what Emmanuel Macron, in his own views, thinks about the whole Brexit process. Very sad that they're leaving. However, Macron, as we also know, and we just heard Catherine there refer to him as Mr. Europe. In the absence of other very firm voices right now on the European stage, Emmanuel Macron has cut the figure of someone who's very pro-Europe, pro-European integration, in the face of great odds and great adversity, and someone who, yes, sees those European elections on the horizon, and he doesn't want this Brexit imbroglio or debacle, however you want to call it, pollute that process. He sees that the European agenda has been monopolized, most recently at this summit, by the Brexit issue. It's not as if Europe doesn't have other issues it would like to discuss, notably the rise of China, the U.S., competition, Europe's own competitive position, migration. It has a whole plate of issues. It doesn't want Brexit to monopolize that. Emmanuel Macron is basically looking at the spectacle of Brexit, seeing it right now as a British domestic political crisis. He thinks that Theresa May has been completely incompetent in her management of it, even if he didn't say so that explicitly. He wants the Brits now to take responsibility, and he wants a decision to be made, even if it's something he would not have wanted to see happen in the first place. So yeah, he has become, almost by default, Annette, the heavy on the European stage, trying to put Europe's interests first, trying to make sure that Britain's own failure to come to grips with Brexit, political failure, is not going to somehow weigh on or pollute or somehow cast aspersions on Europe's efforts to try to integrate and to try to act in some sort of coherent fashion.
Now, of course, it's a little bit complicated, I think, for most people to sort of follow on, but clearly at the moment there are two dates. We've got one in April.
Right.
And one in May. Does that mean, as a result, that all options are still on the table?
Absolutely. Donald Tusk, the president of the European Council, said exactly that. The April 12th date, let's be clear, we're calling these two deadlines. What's supposed to happen on April 12th, according to the EU leaders' sort of remit now to Theresa May, is they're supposed to say, come forward and give us your plan forward. That is, if the deal, if there is a third attempt, a third meaningful vote, if it fails to pass, that is, that so-called no-deal scenario. It's not that on April 12th, all of a sudden, Britain will crash out. It's actually intended, it's a sort of a safe option that the Europeans came up with to try to give the European Parliament time for some breathing space, a little time to step back before March 29th, an extra 2 weeks to try to take a deep breath and decide what do they want to do next. And there are very loud voices right now, louder and louder, growing more vocal, calling for a radical overhaul and a rethink. Throw the whole game board out and start from scratch. That is, start by seeking a longer extension, and then move on from there, perhaps, to actually asking for a revocation, that is, canceling Brexit altogether. These are all possibilities still on the table. Are they likely right now from where we stand today? No, but there are voices calling for them, and they may grow louder in the couple of weeks to come, especially if Parliament does seize control of this Brexit process. A petition going around Annette right now calling for Brexit to be called off, Article 50 withdrawn, has almost 3 million signatures.
Okay, so watch this space.